Kinda hard to improve on a game as good as Max Payne 3. I know the game has its issues, and not everybody likes it, especially compared to the distance it takes from the first two games, but I loved it. It's honestly one of my favorite games, and having replayed it with the beta recaptured mod, it ended up reminding me of just how much I enjoyed it, and the reasons I liked it. Even knowing about the longer cutscenes and such, some of them you can't even skip, I still enjoyed playing through the story again and going for some of the grinds. And it made me wonder, how could you make that experience even better? And it turns out there's an answer, a very simple one. Make it a first-person shooter. There's a mod on ModDB by LOM called the Max Payne 3 First Person mod, and it does exactly what you'd think. Shifts the perspective of the camera to an improvised first person view, sort of like Devil Dwarf's Spec Ops The Line First Person mod. You do have the option to shift back to third person with certain buttons, but generally speaking, you can play it throughout first person. Going into cover puts you in third person, but otherwise you'll be seeing everything from Max's point of view. It does a clever job of it. It seems to remove Max's head model whenever you're in combat situations, and outside of that it brings it back. The change is simple enough, but it does change up how you're going to play certain encounters. And I found myself playing sometimes more aggressively, sometimes more cautiously as a result. First of all, combat works really well in first person. I was worried there'd be issues with guns and such getting in the way, but it's smooth. If you had told me that this was made to be a first-person shooter, I would believe it. The crazy thing is, the animations look good in first person too. It's not a case of them cheaping out on like the slides moving, charging handles being moved, and so on. The guns look good in first person, whether they're the regular or golden variants. The combat feels as good as ever. And if you still want a third-person experience in certain situations, you can go back with a simple button press. Now, there are a few issues here and there. It isn't perfect, even if I liked it a lot. Chapter 3 has a big problem where the headset Max wears gets in the way of his vision, and this will plague you for about half the level. So you just kind of have to brace yourself for that going into it. You're going to have this occasional obstruction. They'll be popping up unless you move into third-person view or unless you get into cover. There are also some problems occasionally in Chapter 7, at least in the intro cutscene segments, where the camera will move behind Max and you'll see that he is just a body without a head. It's not a big problem, and it is kind of funny, but it's there. So, outside of that, you're getting the vanilla Max Payne 3 experience. This doesn't change anything else. It just adds the option for a first-person camera, and that's what's available by default. Installation's pretty simple too, you don't need Open4 for it. But the result was honestly kind of unique. There are times I would not use cover, but I would deliberately lean out of certain areas, like behind ledges and such, to try to get a better shot at targets. And other times I'd be a lot more aggressive with the gunplay. I found myself dual-wielding more too. It looks really good in first person. And it reminded me of just how much I liked games that allowed you to change up the guns you're carrying, so that you can dual-wield separate weapons. Sort of like GoldenEye Rogue Agent in that regard.
Any time I'd bought had been going real cheap.
Some of the best levels for it were Chapter 6, Chapter 2, and I would say Chapter 11. Though the police station was also really fun as well. Again, Chapter 3 isn't the best suited for it, but it still has fun segments. It's just you have to get around the problem of the headset getting in the way. It holds up well, it plays well, it's honestly, like, for as simple of a mod, it works great. Shoot dodge handles well, there isn't a lot of clipping or anything. You can clearly see what you're aiming at with a lot of the guns, and the guns are still pretty visible. They don't take up a huge chunk of your screen, but you can clearly see what's what. And when you're dual-wielding, the pistols appear more prominently. Plus, you can still tell when you're aiming and when you're not. The camera's positioned just right so you can see whether Max is holding the pistol with 2 hands or 1 hand. The pill animations look good. It's just, all in all, impressive. For how little it technically changes, it goes a long way. And the best part is that the mod's free. I say that because I came across a Kane and Lynch 2 first-person mod, something that I've been looking forward to for a while, but it's behind a paywall. This one isn't, thankfully. Shout out to Loam for not doing so. Would I recommend the first-person mod? Absolutely. Definitely 100%. Max Payne 3's first-person mod is grade A. I cannot recommend it any higher if you're a fan of the third game. Or if you're a fan of GTA 5's first-person mode. This kind of plays like that in a way. The way the camera is held and the guns are held kind of feels similar. It makes me wonder if Rockstar had a similar method for shifting views. Though that seemed to have its own view models as well. But I would say this is good for a second playthrough. For your first playthrough, you probably want to have the original third-person experience. Outside of that, this is definitely the best way to follow up on that. You're getting a unique combat experience that doesn't radically overhaul things, but it shifts the perspective, requires you to change up how you play out gunfights, sometimes being more aggressive, sometimes less, and lets you see the smaller details on guns, and shows just how much work Rockstar put into making them look good. Especially because you aren't supposed to see them this close and they still hold up well.
I had to keep moving. I hoped that I'd find Fabiana sooner than later, if at all.
But yeah, the Max Payne 3 first-person mod. 100% a recommendation. Fantastic mod. I love it. And I can't recommend it any higher. Even the minor problems it has don't get in the way, because you can still shift into third person for Chapter 3, and even then for Chapter 7, that bug happened in the non-combat sections, so I don't really care as much. If it had popped up when I was getting into gunfights in the favelas, that would have been an issue. But it didn't, so I have no reason to balk at it. In any case, I'm guessing you guys have played Max Payne 3 from the response to that beta recaptured video. Have you tried out the first-person mod? Did you like it? And are there any other mods for Max Payne 3 you'd recommend? I saw someone recommending an overhaul called Fast Payne, something that shifts the gameplay speed. I might have to look into that. In any case, thank you all for watching. Take care.